It is Saturday, May 7th, 2016. I'm Alex Jones here with an update. I'll be back on the radio tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. Find all the details at Infowars.com. Now, this update is about two different subjects, but they both tie in together. Why is the Islamic invasion of the West happening? Why are Western governments organizing, orchestrating, engineering, micromanaging, and greasing the skids for this to happen? That's part one. Part two ties into a big national controversy now that is in a bunch of different newspapers, everything from the Washington Post to Breitbart right now. And that's because DrudgeReport.com yesterday, and I'm going to show you this in a moment, linked to a video I did. It's a 14-minute segment of my radio show / TV show Wednesday, where I talked about Glenn Beck. And I talked about how he keeps saying everyone that's against him is a serpent and a devil worshiper. And so I just struck back at him and said, dude, you're the one using religion to attack people, and you act like a snake. And you've lied about me a lot, and other people I know. And so I know that you're a very worldly, out-of-control person using religion to manipulate people. And that's exactly what you'd expect the devil to do. Some people are mad at me. Most people agree, because he's so unpopular now and such a kook. But I'm not out to get Glenn Beck. The guy's been after me for many years. Everybody knows that. It's been in the Rolling Stone magazine. It's been in New York magazine. It's been covered ad nauseum that he does this. But the fact is, he's the one attacking everybody and saying Donald Trump's basically a serpent, the devil, and that his supporters are going to hell. So he started the fight. But I'm going to get to that in a moment. First off, I went to the mall last night to take my children shopping and to dinner. And all over Barton Creek Mall, and I even got some video of it on my phone, but it's not very high res because I was so shocked, and I'm also such a person that doesn't go around harassing people like women, that I wanted to get photos and video of this, but I was just flabbergasted by it and really didn't. But I'm gonna start going out and getting more photos of this. All over the mall, there were women wearing complete hoods over their heads. A lot of them had scarves tied around their faces with just a slip, but I mean the full beekeeper outfits that Stefan Molyneux talks about. And there I was with my daughters, and it really felt like an assault, because these are women who in most cases aren't even allowed to drive on their own. They're trying to pass laws in Europe, the Muslims are, where women can't leave, up to 45 miles away from where they live, internal passports. In most Muslim countries, they're total frickin' slaves. And I'm a classical liberal in the Thomas Jefferson vein. This is the West, where freedom basically comes from, where slavery was ended. But in this inverted world, the controlled left demonizes the West as if we're where all the bad stuff came from and not the Renaissance and the Enlightenment. And they ally themselves not with Islam, but with radical Islam and Saudi Arabia. And they've brought 5 million of these people into Europe, many of them radicals. I know they've brought 1 million in here. My alma mater, Anderson High, here in Austin, Texas, in the newspaper said the last year they got 232 people from Syria and Iraq. That's just kids and their families. And then I called around to other high schools, they all got hundreds. That's just the high schools. And they're begging for interpreters and help. Downtown Austin looks like I'm in the Middle East now. Or I go to a mall I've been going to since high school, and it's just the fact that the numbers are much higher than they're saying. And this is a culture that if I went to most of their countries and I got out a Bible and started preaching on the street, I would be arrested. If I was, quote, gay in Saudi Arabia, I'd have my head chopped off. But the left won't say a word about it. Instead, they run around on MSNBC and stuff saying I'm a bigot and I'm a hater because I don't like Obamacare, because it's a screw job, which they admit is a screw job now. And it's just so crazy to know that our government's doing this on purpose, and they claim in all of Texas in last year we got 400 and something refugees, but they won't tell the governor actually how many. It's thousands in the high schools in Austin. It's thousands in the high schools. You duplicate that around the country. They've got articles even in the San Francisco Chronicle, you can look them up, where the C-130s land at the airbase and offload these people every day, and they won't say how many. Same thing in Europe. It's like Merkel 3 years ago claimed it was 100,000. Turned out 2 million had already been brought in. So what I'm saying is they're covering up the real numbers. The real numbers are being covered up here, ladies and gentlemen. And this is an invasion. And then you have to ask, why is it being done? For the total clash of civilizations. Because we're not getting Muslims who are from wealthier countries or more pro-Western areas, like the Iraqis and people I grew up with in high school and college, who were great people. And I'd go over to their house, and their moms and sisters, weren't wearing headdresses and were allowed to talk. Okay? Those are the Muslims being hunted down by the radical Muslims that our government's backing. These are people coming from the most radical countries, and they're coming into Syria that they've invaded. Now that they haven't been able to take Syria, because the raiders take their families with them, they're coming through Turkey into Europe, where Merkel is advertising for them to come in. And then they just elected the first Muslim mayor of a major European capital since the Muslims invaded and took over many European capitals like Madrid. Don't forget about that. I grew up in school hearing the Crusades demonized. The Crusades were admittedly a response to Islamic invasion. And then our government, with the Clintons, backed the Muslims in Albania invading Serbia and taking a third of their country. Remember that? Our government's backed the radical Muslims taking over Egypt, trying to take over Syria, taking over Libya. Our government is publicly, and Western governments are publicly allied with radical Islam, and now they're going to fine European countries $250,000+ euros. The EU bureaucracy, if they don't take one person in. Every person you refuse, even if they have a criminal record, you get $250,000 fine. And that's an unelected bureaucracy doing that. No wonder Britain's trying to exit the EU. It's an unelected tyranny, just like the TPP. These foreign corporations create these laws, get our politicians to sign on in secret, and then say we're under it. And that's an example of the NAU and the TPP and all these big partnerships merging. It's a little windy out here, but I wanted to shoot this right now, so bear with me. But that's what we're getting at. That's what we're talking about. And it's out of control, ladies and gentlemen, and we have to have a national debate about it. Let's get out of the window over here. We've got to have a national debate about this right now because we are losing everything. We are losing our sovereignty. It's meant to be a clash of civilizations. When these people attack, they are then going to take more and more of our rights. They're openly saying we have to comply with them. They're openly saying we have to give up our liberties so that we don't upset them. In Germany, they're saying don't have Oktoberfest or beer outside, or don't wear short skirts, or it's your fault you're being raped. That's actually in the news with the sickening left and the head of the EU Migrant Council, Peter Sutherland, saying Europe's too European. That's bad. This is Europe committing suicide. So before I address the Glenn Beck situation, maybe we'll walk over here in the alcove where there's no wind. I wanted to go over this for everybody right here. This is, again, everything's right here on Drudge. Obama tells students profound changes lie ahead. Yes, training us to submit to anything. Khan of London stand, first Muslim mayor, Western capital. And then here's the Glenn Beck news. Glenn Beck on fire with evil, that prancing demon. That's not particularly viral. But just to, again, know that Islam openly says it wants to take everything over, openly says it's going to control your life, openly says that it's going to dictate to you what you can do, and wants to conquer the West and wants to get rid of our freedoms and our, quote, liberal society. Why would you then have the left totally allied with something that says its job is to conquer you? Again, because it's about destroying the West, bringing in all this control out of the crisis. The truth is, this is double-edged. The globalists want to take out the Muslim countries and dominate them, and they want to take over Europe completely. So they're going to bring in large, uncompatible numbers, millions, keep it secret from the public, let them then attack, and then launch huge military operations into the Middle East, overthrowing non-radical countries like Syria and Iraq and putting the very jihadists we've brought in place. That's the reward to Saudi Arabia for running Al-Qaeda, running 9/11. Then they get the whole Middle East. Then their Sunnis get to come here almost exclusively. Obama and Europe won't let Shiites or Christians out. That's on record. They only let Wahhabist Sunnis out. So this is a Wahhabist Sunni allied criminal takeover with the West, with the globalists working with them to bring them in, to then create the clash of civilizations. And it's just incredible to know that in areas of London and areas of Paris and many areas of Brussels, Belgium, where our reporters are, there are these no-go zones where our own reporters were told to get out of here, even at city squares by Muslims, and they wouldn't give them gasoline, they wouldn't let them come in their restaurants, they wouldn't let them come in convenience stores. They're totally, absolutely non-tolerant. Okay, these are the new ones, the radical ones being brought in that are the majority of Islam now. And they're totally uncompatible. And once they get a majority in an area, they come over and tell your wife or your daughter, cover your head up, lady. And if they don't, bam, upside the face. This is on the news. And so this is what they're doing. This is what they're setting up. This is what they're establishing, where now we're going to have this policing going on in our own country, and they're bringing in giant Muslim hordes. Folks, remember, they're telling us that only 400 and something refugees got brought in 2015 to Texas. It's hundreds per school that I know of, and it's all over the state. Just like Obama 3 years ago ordered the Border Patrol, this later came out, to secretly bring in the illegals and to give them vouchers and to give them IDs. And the Border Patrol came out and said, we've been ordered to complete the smuggling process. That's outside of law, breaking the law to do it. But it's one thing if you bring in a bunch of Latin Americans. We just got to worry about Mecha and La Raza and the big Ford Foundation stirring them up, trying to turn them into racist. They're still good people overall. We're talking about bringing in giant hordes of Muslims, covering up the numbers, lying to the public, and getting them in place for a clash of civilizations. Now, that said, the Glenn Beck situation. Glenn Beck, behind the scenes, has done so much to try to block what I do, to try to get me off radio stations. I'd be in New York doing media interviews like on The View and stuff, and I'd be coming over to go on Fox News, and they'd say, we can't have you on. Glenn Beck's throwing a fit. He's threatening everyone if you're allowed to come on. I was then told by people that Beck tried to copy my show and try to mix it, quote, with Oprah Winfrey, and that he wanted to be like a cult leader. I was told this like 6 years ago. Now you see what he's done. He thinks he's like a messiah or something. And I'd hear this like 6 years ago and go, really? Now you see it out in the open. And so understand something. Glenn Beck's been attacking me, and he's been saying you're either with me or you're with the devil, basically. And so that's why I liken him to the devil, because he shouldn't be throwing stones in glass houses. And people are sick of Glenn Beck. They're sick of his bullying. Inside the media, he's kind of like a Lance Armstrong. I'm not saying he cheats, but he's really nasty. He's really pushy. He's really hateful. He thinks he's God. He thinks he's better than everybody. And he's so disconnected that he was in this video. It's not wind, it's squawking birds. He was on this video going, I've got the guy that did Oreos. I've got the guy that did American Idol. I'm coming back. People run from mainstream media. People run from establishment. That's why he's so disconnected. And you can tell he doesn't have a real personality. He admittedly takes acting classes almost every day. He sees himself as a thespian, and he takes on the personalities of other people. And so when you look at Glenn Beck, it's a weird amalgamation of, I guess, Face in the Crowd, that famous movie, with that character, with Oprah Winfrey and Alex Jones. I mean, it's really, really, really weird to have someone try to take my identity, twist it, and then try to get rid of me in the media. I guess like a body snatcher comes and puts the pod down next to you and then absorbs your body. For him to become me, I have to go because the original gets in the way of the new twisted, bug-eyed doppelganger. So a lot of people are really excited to see the fall of Glenn Beck, his grandiosity, all of his weirdness. I wanted him to be a real guy. He's got some talent. I wanted him to cover the New World Order. I'm not in competition with Glenn Beck. I realize his liberty ideas get more popular. A rising tide raises all ships. I'm trying to find people that are more eloquent than I am to put them on air at Infowars.com and our TV and radio shows and films. But I'm trying to find genuine people that care about liberty. The fall of Glenn Beck is a very, very sad thing. And I really feel sorry for Glenn Beck. He openly says he wants to move to Israel and set up some religious retreat for the end of the world. I mean, the guy is 2 inches away from becoming a mix of the Hail Bop cult, meets, Jim Jones. And he needs to get help. I knew something was wrong with him when he said he was going blind, but then he drank Diet Cokes that mentally make you go blind. The aspartame turns into wood alcohol at 87 degrees, and the body's hotter than that. Drudge posted it, and Glenn Beck made fun of it the next day and made fun of us, sending him that info, saying, here's the studies, watch out for Diet Coke. He said, I love Coke. And the thing was, he just didn't want us to be human to him. He didn't want to take that humanity. He wanted to be nasty about it because that makes him feel better. So I don't feel good watching him degenerate, watching him look completely insane. People ask, why did I have some tears in my eye when I was talking about Glenn Beck and his fake tears? Because I had seen an article I didn't even cover about this brain dead baby that had a stroke, and the basset hounds loved it and wouldn't leave its side. And I, lost family members and things like that, and I love dogs, and I was thinking about how emotional that made me, and I didn't want to read a story like that on air because it made me get a tear on my eye. So then I talked about him fake crying. That made me think about all the things I'm really sad about, family stuff, and what's happening in the country, and the baby parts, and how could he fake cry? It made me think about the things that make me cry, and that's what made me cry. And the truth is, I used to cry maybe once every 5 years on air. Now stuff's getting so serious that I involuntarily don't go, I literally, just from stress release, because it's so painful inside my mind, that I start tearing up. And it's because my whole life I've just taken on stress and just been a tough guy and not cared. And I'm learning, so I don't have a heart attack at 50. I'm learning to turn that stuff loose and process it and get rid of it. And so I was just processing the betrayal of Beck, the backstabbing, the dirty tricks he's done, and then just thinking about having to fake cry and do it on TV to discredit himself on purpose. And it made me think about things that would make me cry. So I started getting some tears in my eyes, because this is heavy stuff going on. Our government running Al-Qaeda, our government bringing him in, all this craziness. And look, if there was a culture like the Sikhs, that idiot right-wingers go and shoot occasionally, the Sikhs are arch enemies with the Muslims from India, because the Muslims don't tolerate the other Indian faiths there. I see people from India, great, nice folks. I see people from China, great, nice folks. Inclusive, open, free market. Great people, got a lot of friends from India and China. I see a Sikh wearing their headdress for their hair, the ceremonial, totally cool. It's neat, that's their culture. If they had some culture where women wanted to cover their faces just for some other reason or on a holiday or something, it'd be different. It's a symbol of slavery. It'd be like seeing actual African slaves with chains around their necks sitting there outside the movie theater, and I'd turn another corner and there'd be more women with their faces covered. I was like, what the hell? And it's literally like seeing people with chains around their necks, because that's what it is. And then our media goes, oh, it's cultural, it's cute. At the public schools and colleges, women are learning how to wear it, and oh, it's so sexy. BS. It's slavery. It's one thing if a woman in the hot desert in ancient times wanted to cover their face or something, or like Maid Marian, and it was a high-class thing out when you're out in the sun to have a veil. That's another issue. And that's how Islam was 1,000 years ago. Under Wahhabism, women have become total property as Islam has gotten more radical to where now can't drive cars, get executed for talking back to their husband, get acid poured on their faces, stop defending it left. You're not the real left. You're despicable. Just like Glenn Beck isn't the real patriot, real anti-New World Order person, you people aren't the real left, and just admit you're wrong, admit it's out of control, and stand up for Western values, damn it. I love how nobody will criticize communist Chinese when they kill gay people. They kill gay people. Just type in, Chinese government kills gays. Okay, I'll use your politically correct word, gay, 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 gay. I try to use the word homosexual because you teach me words to use. Now I can't use the word mother or father or he or she. See, that's the tyranny of political correctness. But let's just say it. Gay people get executed in China. Google it. That's BBC. And you're like, cool, they're Chinese. They're allowed to. As long as they're not white, kill everybody. This is the weird sickness. This is the weird garbage. This is the weird tyranny. Defend the West. Admit the West is good. Wake up and defend everybody's freedoms. Don't just attack Christians and conservatives and libertarians and try to pull down every cross out there, but then bring in the Muslims everywhere and have them teach your kids in school how to accept it. The truth is you want to just be conquered. The truth is you want to be cuckolded. The truth is you want to just shred society, but you don't even know what you're replacing it with. Buckley, you got something to say?
People are asking about your shirt constantly. What does this shirt mean?
We got this fellow up in front of us. This shirt here, it's a secret subliminal message from Clandathu. We now take you live to Clandathu. No, seriously, let's get serious. I go down to the border maybe once a year down by Big Bend, and then they've got a town right by it called Trilingua, where the mayor, there's only like 100 people in it, the mayor is a goat that drinks beer. And about twice a day, they take him out at the gas station there and get a big baby's bottle, pour a couple beers in, and the goat drinks beer. So that's what it says there. That is what the shirt is. And I didn't intend to shoot this video. Buckley was already downtown, so was I. We were talking on the phone. I said, hey, you got Facebook mentions? Let's do one. We'll upload it to YouTube too. I want to talk about this. I'm pissed. And I'll be covering it tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. on the radio. Buckley, do you have any comments about the radical Islamification? Because again, these are groups that are literal slaves. It's the sign of their slavery. And they're right there. And in every other country, they don't let other people live in peace that are different. And so I'm literally being threatened by this. And the globalists mean that. They mean to transplant these people here, stir up all this fear, and then use that fear as an excuse to take over those countries even more. So at the end of the day, it's about the clash of civilizations. Buckley?
Well, I'm certainly not a scholar on this issue, but there's a guy, and I wish I could think of his name, and I'll try to post it at some point. There's a guy from Tennessee who is a scientist who has been doing lots of deep research on Islam and where it came from. And there's a bunch of his videos that are online. And one of the things that's interesting about Islam is that people think that Islam is a religion.
It's a political movement.
Well, it's not really. It's an ideology. There's 3 books apparently. There's a book that is basically the religion book. There's the book that is the sort of political ideology, and then there was the one that tells people how to live. And in all those books, it's all about conquering people, and it's not about like conquering people to sort of go into barbarian lands like the Romans did and put down.
No, it's a governing philosophy of total control.
Exactly, and it's not about going into some land and trying to enrich it because you have a better culture. It's more about raping and pillaging and subjugating, and the whole. It seems to me that the whole ideal behind it is a very angst-ridden, hatred-filled, venomous.
And that's why
vicious.
they're always killing each other. That's why they're always killing each other.
That's a good point too.
Yeah, we're like literally bringing cancer in. Let's just say it.
Exactly. So
I mean, there are some forms that aren't as bad, but I mean, these politically correct people are just incredible.
I wish I could.
I just had a so-called liberal sitting there listening. A woman, and she gave me this mean look. She got her hair all done up. She's all pretty. Oh my gosh, she wants to be in the slave pit.
She does. She wants slavery.
Well, I mean, because imagine, that's the ultimate way to hate your culture, is to say, I want to bring people in that keep women chained up in slave pits. And they go, oh, that's not all of it. No, that's who runs the whole show. Buckley, you're making great points. In fact, we're getting that author on. People are talking about him. What's his name?
I'll have to look it up. I totally forgot it. The guy's name is totally spaced, but
It's Dr. Bill...
That sounds right. Bill something. And,
they'll say it right there. They were just saying the name.
Oh, somebody was saying it? Okay, looking for it. Anyway, if somebody says it, I'll say it again. If not, I'll post it at the top.
Sure.
I'll post it at the top of this Facebook mentions, and it's a really interesting link. It's about a 45-minute video that talks about...
Sure, and I've read some of the info you're talking about is totally accurate, but let me just say this real quick and then we're out of here. Okay, Buckley? I noticed this has only got like 3,000 views. A month ago, this would have had 100,000 views by now. 2 months before that, it would have had millions of views. Anytime we talk about Trump or Islam, Facebook admits this. They now have internal systems that censor it. Their own contractors have gone public, and that's fine. But Facebook acts like they're not censoring if you don't violate terms of service. They need us more than we need them. That's why I also post this on YouTube. I also repost other places. Take this video and post it on your own wall. Send it out to your list on Facebook. Get it out there, because we have to overcome this censorship and expose what's happening. Because remember what Zuckerberg 3 months ago got caught at a meeting with Merkel, talking about Germans using Facebook to expose the giant Muslim hordes. He said, don't worry, man, we'll get on that, we'll stop that. And that Facebook now reports people in Germany that mildly criticize Islam, and the police come and find them or arrest them, folks. The sickening controlled left is literally allied with head-chopping jihadis to come in and bully the hell out of us. I mean, this is really happening, folks. And people are like, I don't care, I'm a liberal, I stand with Zuckerberg, and I stand with the jihad. Down with America, down with freedom. I mean, what is your problem? You are brainwashed. Look, you can still have the hangover beard. You can still wear different colored socks. I think that's cool too. Okay, I get it. But just please, just don't destroy the country. Please. And you're like, we're the ones that attack those countries and then open the borders to bring them in. I know. The globalists are playing us all off against each other. Holy God. I'm sorry, Buckley, go ahead.
Thomas Lawrence said Dr. Bill Warner, and that's his name, Dr. Bill Warner.
Dr. Bill Warner.
Look him up on YouTube.
Do we have him coming on next week?
I try to get Nico to have him come on, so I think he is as a guest next week. So, really intelligent guy. Anyway.
And folks, I oppose the wars. I oppose the Iraq attack. I said this was all a clash of civilizations. I read the PNAC documents. Now, all I'm saying is please help us not let the system censor this. People say, well, just leave Facebook. No, we use the platforms, and then we use all other platforms. Take this video yourself. Re-upload it at your channel on YouTube. They can't stop the signal. Take it and send it out on your email. Tweet it for us. We're going to post it on Facebook. We're going to put it on Twitter at Real Alex Jones. Help us get us out. They're also censoring us more and more. You got to sign up for the free email to get exclusive videos, articles, and more. Infowars.com/newsletter, Infowars.com/show. People say, well, have your own platform. We do, but we come here to reach the masses of people that aren't informed. And each one of you is an info warrior as well. Infowars.com/show. And I'm going to really be talking about this on the radio tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. Buckley, closing comments.
Well, all I got to say is everybody be safe out there. Enjoy your weekend. And we will see you on the air tomorrow, 4 to 6 Central Time. Infowars.com/show. You are the resistance.
By the way, I want to just say something, because it's true. I want to just say, people ask me, what am I doing downtown? I haven't had a massage in 6 months, and my neck was locked up from powerlifting. And I don't powerlift to be powerful. It just really feels good when I do a deadlift. And I kind of pulled a little bit of a muscle in my neck and shoulder. And I tell you, I came here and got a massage from this great guy. And I'm telling you, it's all gone, Buckley. You know, I was in pain the whole last week. And finally, you guys all set me up this massage. By the grace of God, I feel so much better. So talk about the incredible natural healing of laying on hands, massage. It is simply amazing. Let's get a shot of you, Buckley, there with the Austin scenery there in the background.